Hi everybody, it's Crazy, it's Friday, and it's time for my BGE video. So, before I get started, gotta give a shout out to my trusteds, cause you guys rock. To my Crazy fam, I love you guys. And to my patrons, thank you for your support. Now we're up to episode number 8, and I'm working from a book called the Game Engine book. Link will be in the description as usual, and if you'd like to follow along, that's cool. Where we left off last week was keyboard and mouse. So we'll just get started off right there. The joke is that to move an object in Blender, you have to press the G key, which stands for moving. This gag stems from the fact that to a beginner, many of the shortcuts in Blender seem counterintuitive. However, there is a very good reason why G is preferred over M. In this case, the G key can be easily accessed on the keyboard by the left hand while the right hand is on the mouse. Also, officially, G stands for grab. Okay, now let's think a little different here. Let me get my mouse over here. Okay, by default, the Mac keyboard uses Command instead of Control as the default modifier key. So, whenever you see Control plus something in this book, mentally map it to the command if you are using a Mac computer. Additionally, Blender has good support for multi-touch gestures on OS X. You can pinch to zoom, rotate to orbit around, and pan around. So, let's start with some of the shortcuts that work the way you would expect. Okay, Control S means to save file. Control O, open file. To end, new file. Control Z, undo. Control Shift Z, redo. And Control Q, close or quit the application. Okay, the above shortcuts work anywhere within Blender. They are effectively global. Unfortunately, the familiarity ends there. To manipulate an object in the 3D view, generally you have to select it at first. Right-click to select the object. Shift plus right-click to extend the selection to multiple objects, and A to select all. So, to give you a visual on that, we're going to go over here to this. Okay, so I finally found the script to load the screencast keys because we are using 2.78.5, which was not default. It didn't become default until 2.79. So I had to find the script, and I finally got screencast keys. So yeah, now you see if I hit right click, if I left click. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that back to center. Okay, so what I just did is Shift S. Okay, Shift S brings up this menu, and all it is the snap function. Usually I just hit the center, or you can actually snap it to a selection, or you can take the object, okay, your selection, the one that's got the yellow square around it, and snap it to cursor. Okay, but I just went ahead and put it on center. Alright, so, but as you see, down over here, it's got that, and if I hit G for grab, you see now I can grab the thing. Okay, do it right there, there we go. Whee! Okay, so, all kinds of neat stuff there. So now it shows up, so last way, now you can actually see what I'm doing, since I got it finally fixed. Okay, so, to grab it, you right click, or to select it, you right click. Okay, if you hit Shift and right click on another object, you can do more than one object, see? So now I've got Shift and click. Okay? Now if you hit A, you can select all. Okay? So all of the actions above are reversible. If something is already selected, right-clicking on it will deselect it. Now this doesn't work in 2.78.5 or 2.79. Unfortunately, it just doesn't. I don't know why it doesn't, but the A still selects all and not selects all. So just wanted to let y'all know that. Okay. If all the objects are already selected, pressing A will deselect all, as I just told you. Okay. Once an object is selected, you can start manipulating it. The keyboard shortcut below shortcuts below correspond to the 3 most basic transforms. And I'm going to read them off, and I'm going to demonstrate on here from that point. Okay, so G, okay, means to grab. So if I clicked on the thing and I hit G, I can grab it. If I hit S, I can scale it. Okay, if I hit R, I can rotate it. Okay, if I move the mouse, like say for example I wanted to grab it and I move the mouse, it will carry out the transform action. It will do what it's supposed to. I'm moving it around. Left click will make it, the same. So if I hit scale, I wanted to scale. Sorry, if I wanted to hit scale and scale it up, if I left click it right now, as you see, my left click didn't show up, which is weird, but nonetheless, if I left clicked it, it automatically accepts it. So let's get Control Z. There we go. Okay, so if we since we got it, we scale it, and I hit left. Okay, I resized it. If you click left again, it's going to move that cursor, but it doesn't show up on that screencast keys, which is weird. So rotate. If I did that, same thing. If I grabbed it and moved it over here, the same thing. Okay. So, and I just hit Control Z just to put it back to where it was at. Okay, so left click confirms it. Also, if I scaled it up and I hit Enter, it does the same thing. It's the same thing as left clicking. Okay, a lot of people don't know that, which is kind of neat because, I didn't know that up until I got up to, I believe it was 2.70 is when I figured, that I actually realized you can do that. But they had that back in 2.5, believe it or not. Okay, so pressing one of the keys will start the transformation, and then you can move your mouse to control the degree of the effect. To finalize the transformation, left click the mouse or press Enter. Okay, now another one is the search bar. Okay, the final tip that you will learn is the search functionality in Blender. If you are unable to recall how to invoke a certain operation, whether through the button or a keyboard shortcut, a quick way to find it is by using the search functionality. Key in a few letters of what you are looking for, and the result should appear as shown, if you hit the space bar. Okay, so if you hit space bar, there it is. Now, in 2.78.5 and forward, I think it was 2.76, they actually started doing it where you can select it because they had other stuff you can do, like this. This is all added in, more functionality for the space bar. So when you hit the space bar, you can click on search. A lot of the older ones, you just hit space bar and this would automatically pop up. Okay, so tapping on a space bar from anywhere within will bring out a search box that contains a list of actions. Okay, list of actions you can do right here. I mean, there's tons of them. Okay, so if you wanted to, where's it at? Shift Z, you wanted to toggle rendering shading. You notice that some of these have different things on them. So like center view to mouse. So if you hit Alt F, that's what it will do. If you hit, well, I don't know what to understand what that one is, but this shortcut key is Shift Control T, transfer data mesh. Okay, so there's all kinds of neat, shortcuts you can get. Like Control S will transform to sphere. Okay, you got Alt I, which is delete keyframe. That's something I didn't know. I usually just hit this and hit delete keyframe. Load the startup file, Control N. I knew that one. Okay, play animation, Alt A. Make your animation down here play. So we'll click that off for just a second. With a word of caution, though, the current implementation of the search is not very context aware. So sometimes operations that are not permitted in the active context might show up. So in other words, hit spacebar and you put in something up here that you would use for like Blender render, and it shows up here, it can cause problems. So try not to do that. Okay, Blender philosophy. Blender is designed with certain philosophies in mind. Understanding these will allow you to use Blender the way it was intended, which allows you to navigate around Blender faster and more efficiently. Okay? Let the brainwashing begin. Okay, so the interface. Because Blender was originally created as an in-house software, its interface is designed to maximize speed and efficiency for users who have mastered it. Since Blender 2.5, a lot of work has been done to make the interface more user-friendly. That said, Blender is probably unlike any other program you've used before, including other kinds of 3D software. Luckily, the Blender interface is very consistent with the application. This means that once you learn to do something, you'll be able to use it in another part of the program. Okay, the G key can be used a lot in the the text editor, or not text editor, the texture editor, or the texture unwrap editor, which would be, I'm going to show you all this because it's just going. Okay, it can be used in here when you have a texture. Okay, so a lot of people don't know that, that you can carry some on, you can still manipulate stuff and still use a lot of the shortcut keys that you would normally use for moving objects and stuff like that. Okay, let's see here. Keyboard. Because of the large number of commands, Blender is capable of performing and invoking a function through a quick tap on the keyboard is generally faster than using the mouse to find the menu entry. Over here on the toggle, okay, oops, I don't know why I did that, sorry. Okay, on the toggle, if you hit T, this pops up. But, instead of hitting Y, most of the time you come over here and you bring that out, it does the same thing, and you have to drag it back in order to make it disappear. But if you have a shortcut key like the T, you can, oh, that's a lot faster, a lot more efficient. Same thing with the N key. It's a lot faster to do this than it is to try to come up here to this little thing, and then you got to squish it back down, So that takes a little bit more time. It's not like a great amount of time, but it does take up some time. So let's see where we are at so far. Yeah, we're at right at about 12 minutes. So we're going to stop at the keyboard, and we're going to go ahead and finish off with the keyboard here. And I'll continue on with that next week. So, with that being said, let me kick back over to here. Okay, so different things you can do in Blender will actually help you out a lot more. So more shortcut keys you can learn, the better off you are, so you can maneuver around a little bit faster and a little bit easier. We're going to continue on with the keyboard next week, because there is a lot of stuff for keyboard, and there's some stuff with the mouse and some context menus that you can work with, and data blocks. I'm going to try to see if I can get down to some more of the meat and potatoes of Blender and BGE, which is basically using the Blender engine. Okay, so we're going to end off with keyboard. So stay tuned next week. See you Friday.